Did the Cowboys just make a signing that completely changes their defense overnight? Budda Baker landing in Dallas came out of nowhere, and it has fans buzzing about what this means for the secondary. Some analysts believe this instantly turns the Cowboys into one of the most dangerous defensive units in the NFC, while others question the cost and long-term impact of the move. Why did Dallas strike now, and how does Baker fit into the bigger plan? One underrated detail about this signing could unlock the Cowboys' defense in ways nobody saw coming. Cowboys Nation, stop whatever you're doing right now because this one came out of absolutely nowhere. Just when everyone thought the Dallas Cowboys were done making noise this offseason, just when fans were bracing themselves for another quiet move kind of week, boom, the front office drops a bombshell. Budda Baker has inked with the Dallas Cowboys, and suddenly the entire conversation around this defense has changed overnight. This isn't just a signing. This is a statement. This is Dallas telling the league, we're not done, and we're not backing down. Think about where the Cowboys secondary was just weeks ago. Talented? Yes. Athletic? Absolutely. But missing something critical. Missing that enforcer. Missing that tone setter. Missing that player offenses have to locate on every single snap before the ball is even snapped. And now? Now Budda Baker is wearing the star. One of the most respected safeties in the NFL, a leader, a playmaker, and a flat-out menace between the hashes is officially in Dallas. Budda Baker didn't build his reputation on hype. He earned it snap by snap. This is a guy who plays with his hair on fire, who hits like a linebacker but moves like a corner, who reads quarterbacks like a veteran chess player. For years in Arizona, he was the heart of that defense. When Budda Baker was on the field, everything ran through him. When he was off the field, you could feel the difference immediately. And now the Cowboys just added that exact presence to their locker room. Let's be real for a second. The NFC East is no longer a division you can coast through. Jalen Hurts isn't slowing down. Washington is loading up. Even the Giants are trying to reinvent themselves. The Cowboys knew that standing still wasn't an option. They needed impact. They needed experience. They needed a dog on defense. And Budda Baker checks every single box. What makes this signing even crazier is the timing. Nobody saw this coming. No long rumor trail. No constant leaks. Just suddenly, Dallas pulls the trigger. That tells you this was calculated. This wasn't panic. This was a move they circled, monitored, and struck on when the moment was right. And when you look at Budda Baker's skill set and compare it to what Dan Quinn loves to do defensively, it starts to make a scary amount of sense. Budda Baker is position flexible. He can play deep. He can play in the box. He can blitz off the edge. He can shadow tight ends. He can clean up mistakes. And that versatility is going to unlock so much creativity for this Cowboys defense. Imagine Micah Parsons screaming off the edge, offenses sliding protection his way, and Budda Baker timing a delayed blitz perfectly right through the gap. That's not a highlight waiting to happen, that's a nightmare for quarterbacks. And let's talk about leadership because this part matters just as much as stats. Budda Baker is not a quiet guy on the field. He communicates. He directs traffic. He holds guys accountable. When something breaks down, he's the first one pointing, shouting, and fixing it. That's huge for a secondary that's full of young talent. Having someone back there who has seen everything, who has been in playoff battles, who understands momentum swings that changes how a defense carries itself. This also sends a message to the rest of the locker room. Dallas isn't settling. Dallas isn't content with almost. They're pushing chips in. They're giving their stars help. They're raising expectations. And make no mistake, expectations just went up. When you add a player like Budda Baker, excuses disappear. This defense is expected to dominate, not just compete. From a football IQ standpoint, this is massive. Budda Baker has elite instincts. He diagnoses plays instantly. Screens, misdirection, RPOs, he's seen them all. Offensive coordinators love testing young safeties with eye candy. That doesn't work on Budda Baker. He stays disciplined, trusts his reads, and closes space in a heartbeat. And when he hits, you feel it through the screen. Now imagine him paired with the Cowboys' existing talent. Corners can play more aggressively knowing there's a heat-seeking missile behind them. Linebackers can attack downhill knowing Budda Baker has their back. The entire defense gets faster, more confident, and more violent. That's the ripple effect of this signing. And Cowboys fans, be honest, when was the last time a safety signing felt this impactful? This isn't depth. This isn't a rotation piece. This is a centerpiece addition. Budda Baker walks in as one of the leaders of this defense from day one. That doesn't happen often. That only happens when a player's resume speaks louder than any introduction ever could. There's also a psychological element here that can't be ignored. Offense's game plan for Budda Baker. Quarterbacks hesitate when throwing over the middle. Receivers brace themselves. Tight ends don't run routes as freely. Fear might not show up on the stat sheet, but it shows up on film. And now that fear is wearing silver and blue. What I love most about this move is that it's aggressive but smart. Budda Baker isn't a gamble. He's proven. He's consistent. He shows up every week. He plays through pain. He sets a standard. That's exactly the kind of player championship teams add when they believe their window is open. And whether you want to admit it or not, the Cowboys believe their window is right now. This also takes pressure off other areas of the defense. Younger safeties don't have to be perfect. Corners don't have to cover for 10 seconds. Pass rushers don't have to get home instantly. Everything works together better when you have a stabilizing force on the back end. And Budda Baker is exactly that. Now let's talk about the fans because I already know what Cowboys Nation is doing right now. Some of you are stunned. Some of you are hyped. Some of you are rewatching Budda Baker highlights and imagining him lighting up division rivals. And some of you are already saying, okay, now this feels different. Because it does. This move feels different. This is one of those signings that doesn't just improve a unit, it changes identity. The Cowboys defense just got nastier, smarter, more intimidating. And when you combine that with an offense that's expected to bounce back with urgency, suddenly Dallas looks like a complete team again. Of course, the work isn't finished. One signing doesn't guarantee anything. Games aren't won on paper. But moves like this show intent. They show belief. They show hunger. And Budda Baker wouldn't come to Dallas if he didn't believe in what's being built here. So take a moment and let this sink in. Budda Baker. In a Cowboys uniform. Lining up under the lights. Calling out plays. Delivering hits. Making quarterbacks think twice. This is real. And the league just got put on notice. Cowboys Nation, I want to hear from you. How big is this signing? Does this officially make the Cowboys defense elite? What does Budda Baker unlock for Dan Quinn's scheme? And most importantly, how dangerous does this team look right now compared to the rest of the NFC? If you're excited, smash that like button. If you believe this move changes the season, subscribe right now because we're breaking down everything that comes next. This is Cowboys news you don't want to miss. The star just got brighter, and the secondary just got supercharged.